Imagine the sun dropping behind the trees, the forest turning cold, and darkness crawling toward you like a silent tide. No matches, no lighter, no spark wheel. Just raw wilderness and your two hands. Most people don't realize how quickly a night can become deadly without fire. Today, we're unlocking 7 proven, ancient, and ingenious techniques to start a fire without modern tools. These methods can save your life. Let's get into it. Fire is the oldest survival skill humans ever mastered. It warms us, protects us, heals us, helps us cook, signal for help, boil water, and keep predators away. But what happens when you're out in the wild and your lighter is gone? The weather ruins your matches, or you packed nothing at all. That's when knowledge becomes the ultimate gear. In this video, we're breaking down 7 powerful ways to start a fire with 0 matches and 0 lighters, including friction-based fire, spark-based fire, using nature as a lens, harnessing metal and minerals, turning everyday items into fire starters, primitive techniques used for thousands of years, and the subtle techniques people often forget. By the end, you'll know exactly how to create fire in almost any environment. Let's begin. The bow drill method, the classic, reliable, primitive fire starter. This is the method most survival experts rely on because, when done correctly, it always works. What you need: a wooden spindle, a fireboard, a curved bow, a cord, vines, shoelaces, plant fibers, a socket handhold stone or piece of wood, tinder bundle. How it works: you wrap the cord around the spindle and use the bow to spin it rapidly against the fireboard. The friction produces heat. Heat produces dust. Dust becomes a glowing ember. That ember becomes fire. The technique requires consistent movement, pressure control, proper wood choice, soft woods like willow, cedar, cottonwood. Signs of success: smoke thickens, wood dust darkens, a small coal forms inside the notch. Slide the ember into your tinder bundle and breathe gently until flames appear. This is real primitive fire. It feels like bringing the ancient world back to life. The hand drill method. Fire using only your hands. No bow, no cord, no tools. Just your hands and determination. What you need: a long, thin spindle, a fireboard, a tinder bundle. How it works: the spindle is placed into a small depression on the fireboard. You roll it between your palms while pushing downward. Friction builds, heat rises, dust forms, a coal appears. This method is harder than the bow drill because your hands tire quickly. Speed drops as your palms move down. Pressure is harder to maintain, but it's one of the purest forms of fire starting. Pro tip: pre-warm the notch with slow rotations before going fast. This conditions the wood and increases your chances of success. Flint and steel, the ancient spark generator. For thousands of years before matches existed, flint and steel were humanity's main fire-starting tools. What you need: a hard stone, flint, quartz, chert. High-carbon steel, char cloth, or dry tinder. How it works: strike the steel against the flint. Sparks fly off the steel, not the rock. Land those sparks on your char cloth, cotton, bark, or fungi like amadou. Once a small glowing ember forms, fold it into a tinder bundle and blow gently until it ignites. Advantages: works well even when cold. Sparks are strong. Reliable in wind. Fast once you practice. If you ever find old metal scraps in the wilderness, flint and steel fire becomes possible even in modern debris fields. The fire plow. Fire by rubbing wood against wood. This method is more physically demanding but incredibly reliable in dry climates. What you need: a fireboard, a hardwood stick, dry bark or tinder underneath. How it works: create a groove in the fireboard. Rub the hardwood stick rapidly up and down the groove. Friction collects hot dust at the end of the groove. When the dust builds enough, it glows red and becomes an ember. People underestimate this method, but when you use the right wood combination, the fire plow can produce embers faster than a hand drill. Wood choice matters. Fireboard, soft wood. Plow stick, harder wood. The contrast produces the heat needed for ember creation. Using the sun, the lens method. Fire through concentrated light. If the sun is strong, you can harness it. What you can use as a lens: magnifying glass, eyeglasses, clear water-filled bag, clear ice shaped into a lens, a clean plastic bottle filled with water. Camera lens. How it works: focus sunlight into a tiny, bright point onto your tinder. Hold it steady. The heat builds until smoke appears and a coal forms. The ice lens trick is one of the most impressive. Shape clear ice into a convex lens. Polish it by rubbing snow on it. Hold it toward the sun. When done correctly, it can start a fire almost as effectively as a magnifying glass. Perfect tinder for this method includes dry leaves, crushed pine needles, fluffy plant fibers, bird nests, cotton from seed pods. The main challenge is consistency. If your hand trembles, the heat disperses. Steel wool plus battery. A modern hack using basic electricity. If you're stranded with no lighter but have a backpack, car, or electronics nearby, this method is incredibly powerful. What you need: fine steel wool, any battery, AA, a AAA, 9V, even a phone battery edge. How it works: touch both terminals of the battery to the steel wool. Electric current flows through the thin fibers. Resistance causes the wires to glow and ignite. Once the steel wool glows red, press it into a tinder bundle. Instant fire. This works even in cold, damp conditions and is one of the fastest fire-starting methods on this list. Important notes: use 0000 grade steel wool if possible. Blow gently to spread the glow. Keep fingers safe. Steel wool burns fast. If you're surviving near abandoned vehicles, abandoned camps, or even a crashed drone, you may find the materials needed. The rock strike method. Fire without flint, steel, or metal. Most people think you need metal to make sparks. Not true. What you need? A very hard stone, quartz, chert. Another stone, or iron-rich rock. Tinder. How it works: strike two rocks together sharply. Some stones naturally throw sparks when fractured at high speed. The sparks are weak, but can ignite carbon-rich tinder like fungi, char cloth, if you created some earlier, cotton-like plant fibers. This is the method used before humans discovered refined metals. It's slow, it tests patience, but it works, and it proves fire existed long before blacksmiths ever shaped steel. Bonus: the fire roll technique. Fire from friction using ash and cotton. This one is rarely taught and feels like magic. You need dry cotton, sock lint, shirt fiber, seed fluff, wood ash or sand, a flat board, your hands. How it works: mix the cotton with wood ash and roll it rapidly between your hands like you're making dough. As heat builds, the fibers ignite internally, and create a glowing ember. It looks impossible until you try it. Fire building essentials. Quick recap. Fire isn't just about the spark. You need a system. 1. Tinder. Very small, fluffy, dry material. Bark fibers. Grass, leaves, seed fluff, cotton, dead moss. 2. Kindling. Small sticks, twigs, bark strips. 3. Fuel, larger dry wood, arranged teepee style or log cabin style. 4. Oxygen. Don't smother the flame. Nurture it. The spark is only the start. The flame lives because you guide it. When you're deep in the wild and the cold is creeping in, fire becomes more than warmth. It becomes hope. It becomes security. It becomes the thin line between surviving the night and being swallowed by it. With these 7 techniques, you're never unarmed. You're never helpless. You carry the knowledge of our ancestors, humans who built fire long before modern tools existed. If you want more survival guides, extreme challenges, and real wilderness skills, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay resourceful, stay calm, and remember, fire is never far away when you know where to look.